What if I told you that one of America's most powerful mob bosses, a man who ruled Chicago's underworld with an iron fist, wasn't just battling rival gangsters and federal agents, but was secretly working with the U.S. government? This isn't fiction. This is the unbelievable true story of Sam Giancana, the ruthless head of the Chicago outfit, who found himself entangled in a covert alliance with the CIA, plotting assassinations, influencing elections, and blurring the lines between patriots and criminals. He moved from the back alleys of Chicago to the highest echelons of power, a shadowy figure pulling strings in both the underworld and the world of international espionage. But how did a street tough from the West Side become a key player in Cold War conspiracies? And what was the ultimate price for dancing with devils on both sides of the law? The truth is stranger and far more dangerous than you could ever imagine. Chicago, the 1950s. While President Eisenhower sat in the White House, another man ruled an empire of vice, violence, and unimaginable wealth from the shadows of the Windy City. His name was Sam Giancana. He was cunning, brutal, and utterly fearless, the undisputed boss of the Chicago outfit, heir to Al Capone's criminal throne. But Giancana's reach extended far beyond the gambling dens and union halls of Illinois. Unbeknownst to the American public, this mob kingpin was about to be drawn into a web of international intrigue, solicited by the very government sworn to destroy him. The target? Fidel Castro. The mission? Assassination. The collaboration between the Mafia and the CIA remains one of the most astonishing and scandalous episodes in American history, exposing a clandestine world where morality was a luxury and power was the only currency. How could such an unholy alliance ever come to be? And what dark secrets did it bury? Our story begins in the unforgiving streets of Chicago's near West Side, where Salvatore Giancana was born in 1908 to Sicilian immigrant parents. Life was hard, marked by poverty and the struggle for survival. Young Sam, a restless and rebellious spirit, quickly fell in with the local street gangs. He wasn't big, but he was fearless, intelligent, and possessed an innate understanding of the brutal laws of the street. He adopted the nickname Mooney, a slang term for crazy, and it stuck. By his teens, he was a member of the 42 Gang, notorious for its violence and petty crimes. The Prohibition era was a breeding ground for organized crime, and Chicago was its epicenter. Al Capone, the legendary Scarface, reigned supreme, building a vast empire on illegal liquor, gambling, and prostitution. Young Giancana watched, learned, and honed his skills in the outfit's brutal ranks. He was a protege of Paul Ricca and Tony Accardo, two of Capone's most trusted lieutenants, demonstrating a chilling talent for both violence and business acumen. He wasn't just a tough guy. He was a strategic thinker, always looking for an angle, always calculating the risks and rewards. The streets of Chicago were his classroom, and the lessons were harsh. Loyalty was paramount, fear was a weapon, and power was everything. He was a rising star in a galaxy of criminals, but his true ascent, and the unimaginable connections that would define his legacy, were still years away. Giancana's rise through the Chicago outfit was meteoric, fueled by his unwavering ruthlessness and his uncanny ability to generate income. He earned a reputation as a brutal enforcer, loyal to his superiors, and utterly terrifying to his enemies. When the outfit transitioned from Capone's era to the more discreet, corporate-style leadership of Paul Ricca and Tony Accardo, Giancana proved himself indispensable. He specialized in expanding the outfit's gambling interests, particularly slot machines and casinos, meticulously streamlining operations and maximizing profits. He understood that violence was a tool, but money was the engine of true power. Giancana wasn't just a hitman, he was a brilliant strategist. He orchestrated vote fraud in critical elections, bribed officials at every level, and meticulously infiltrated labor unions, creating vast financial pipelines for the outfit. His influence grew beyond Chicago, extending into Las Vegas, Havana, and other key territories. By the mid-1950s, when Tony Accardo stepped aside, Giancana was the logical, though somewhat controversial, choice to lead the Chicago outfit. He became the undisputed boss, inheriting a criminal empire built on fear, loyalty, and a vast network of legitimate and illegitimate businesses. He had reached the pinnacle of organized crime in America, but the world was changing, and the Cold War was heating up. Unknown to Giancana, his unique skill set, his ruthlessness, his connections, his ability to operate in the shadows, was about to attract the attention of a far more powerful and far more dangerous organization, the Central Intelligence Agency. At the peak of his power, Sam Giancana was untouchable. He controlled a vast criminal syndicate that dictated everything from garbage collection to the outcomes of major elections. His personal life reflected his status. He lived lavishly, hobnobbing with celebrities, singers, and even politicians. Frank Sinatra was a friend, and Giancana's influence touched Hollywood, affecting careers and financing projects. He wielded immense power, inspiring both fear and a perverse respect. His word was law, and his vengeance was swift and brutal. His crown jewel was Cuba, a tropical playground for the mob. Alongside figures like Meyer Lansky, Giancana had invested millions in Havana's casinos, hotels, and rackets, transforming the island into an enormously profitable offshore operation. The money flowed like water, shielded from American taxes and law enforcement. But this glittering empire was built on a fragile foundation. In 1959, Fidel Castro's revolution swept through Cuba, seizing all mob assets and sending Giancana's vast profits up in smoke. It was a catastrophic blow, costing the outfit millions, and fueling Giancana's burning hatred for Castro. It was this hatred, combined with his unparalleled underworld capabilities, that made him an irresistible, if unthinkable, ally for a desperate American government. The CIA, facing repeated failures in its attempts to remove Castro, began to explore a truly outlandish idea, turning to the Mafia for help. The stage was set for an unholy alliance that would forever taint both organizations. In 1960, the unbelievable happened. Through intermediaries, including a corrupt FBI agent, the CIA reached out to Sam Giancana and other mob bosses, including Santo Trafficante Jr. and Johnny Rosselli. The agency wanted to use the mob's underworld contacts in Cuba to assassinate Fidel Castro. Giancana, driven by revenge for his lost Cuban empire, eagerly agreed. The plots were bizarre, involving poisoned cigars and botulism-laced pills, all of which failed. The Bay of Pigs invasion, another CIA-backed attempt, also ended in disaster. This secret collaboration was a dangerous game, one that put the mob in a position of leverage over the U.S. government. The Kennedy administration's war on organized crime, led by Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy, put immense pressure on Giancana. The FBI, under J. Edgar Hoover, launched a relentless campaign to dismantle the outfit. Giancana felt betrayed, believing his secret work for the CIA should have granted him immunity. The lines between his mob life and his intelligence operations became fatally blurred. His name surfaced in investigations related to the JFK assassination, fueling endless conspiracy theories. The constant surveillance, the public scrutiny, and the relentless pressure began to take their toll. His own organization grew restless with the unwanted attention he attracted. Giancana, once the untouchable kingpin, was now a liability. The powerful forces he had once controlled, both criminal and governmental, were now closing in, and his luck was about to run out in the most brutal and mysterious way imaginable. In 1975, Sam Giancana, living in semi-retirement in his suburban Oak Park home, was preparing to testify before a Senate committee investigating the CIA's assassination plots. He had been subpoenaed and was ready to tell his story, but he never got the chance. On June 19, 1975, he was murdered in his own basement, shot 7 times in the head with a .22 caliber pistol. The killer was never officially identified. The hit was precise, professional, and chillingly effective. Was it the outfit, silencing a potential informant? Was it the CIA, ensuring their secrets remained buried? Or was it some unknown force, tying up loose ends? Sam Giancana's life is a stark, uncomfortable reminder of the blurred lines that often exist in the pursuit of power. He was a ruthless criminal, but he was also, however briefly, a clandestine asset of the U.S. government. His story exposes the shocking willingness of intelligence agencies to compromise with criminals in the name of national security, and the deadly consequences for those caught in the crossfire. He left behind a legacy of unanswered questions, untold secrets, and a chilling testament to the fact that in the shadowy world of mobsters and spies, trust is a luxury no one can afford, and death is often the ultimate silence.